End of the soap opera for now about George Russell and Mercedes. Aston Martin denies talks with Alonso about retirement. McLaren's case with Palou could be a warning to Felipe Massa and Mick Schumacher doing tests in Indy. Let's talk about all of this now. Hello Race Sakamoto friends, welcome to another video. I'm Matteo Pucci. Formula One has been busy lately. Yesterday we had a technical analysis video, and the 2026 one will be in both playlists talking about drag reduction system in the rain. If you haven't seen it, take a look, but today we'll have two news videos because there's really a lot happening in Formula One this week for the United States Grand Prix. Starting outside of Formula One with Mick Schumacher, it seems like he's finally giving up on the idea of Formula One. That's something we've been talking about here for a long time. And he did a test in IndyCar which he really liked. According to what's being reported, and to Schumacher's own words, the IndyCar is very enjoyable to drive and reminds him of a Formula 2 car. He finished his test with the third fastest, though unofficial, time. He showed enthusiasm about the possibility of racing a full season in IndyCar, which includes the oval races, since some drivers prefer not to race on ovals. They only race on road courses. Yes, there is a strong possibility that Schumacher will get this spot in IndyCar, and his arrival is being seen in a positive light. And he liked it too. So apparently, both sides are in agreement, and we might have an announcement in the next few months. It would be great to see Schumacher return to single-seaters after his efforts in Formula One. He also has a career in endurance racing, and there's life beyond Formula One. Although it's less glamorous and gets less global attention, is there really life beyond Formula One? Good luck to Mick Schumacher, who I personally believe doesn't have what it takes to stay in Formula One. He made it to Formula One on his own merits. Yes, he got good results in the lower categories, he was a champion. But when he got to Formula One, he didn't show himself to be a standout driver. Even though we know the car didn't help much, or helped a lot, but tell me, what do you think about Schumacher in IndyCar? Tell us in the comments. The McLaren versus Palou case continues in the context of Indy versus Formula One. It's generating a lot of talk. What's going on according to what's been coming out? Besides Zak Brown being involved, supposedly, we have to say here, supposedly deleted evidence, right? That he supposedly offered this and that to Palou. You have a case that's escalating too much, and it's bad for both sides' image. No one is coming out of this looking good. Palou says he was promised a Formula One seat. Zak Brown denies that this promise was made. In fact, Zak Brown says that at most, it was just a possibility. But there's an important point here. It's also being claimed that the fact Alpine didn't sign a contract with Piastri was what gave this window for the agreement between Palou and McLaren to be broken. Because Zak Brown wanted Palou, and Andrea Seidel, according to Palou's defense, wanted Oscar Piastri. They made a deal with Mark Webber, Palou Piastri's agent, to bring him to Alpine. That created that embarrassing situation for Alpine, announcing Piastri as the driver to replace Alonso. And Piastri, he denies racing for Alpine on social media, then announces he's joining McLaren. So Alpine's mistake with Piastri's contract, combined with Alonso's departure from Alpine, which was also somewhat sudden, created an opportunity for McLaren to sign Piastri. And because of that, Palou, who was promised the spot, was left out. But there's a problem. If you don't have it in writing, what happens then? So the situation is ugly in court, with both sides accusing each other. McLaren is asking for $20 million in damages for breach of contract in this case. Right, $20 million? According to Palou's defense, Zak Brown is being called a liar. It's ugly, isn't it? One publication, with sources always in the description, included this warning. For Felipe Massa, who's suing those involved in Crashgate for more than 80 million because they knew Formula One and the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile knew about the scheme, while the 2008 season was still going on. So Felipe Massa might be picking a fight that's going to get really ugly in court. In fact, the hearing is scheduled for now, the end of October. We should have news soon. It's drama, a lot of drama going on. We'll need to keep watching to see how this situation ends. Zak Brown and McLaren with Palou, plus Felipe Massa with Formula One. Shifting from the drama, let's focus on Formula One and Aston Martin. Talking about Fernando Alonso's retirement, team principal Andy Coyle denied that there had been any conversation with the two-time champion about a possible retirement after 2026. They are focused on the new car. For the new regulations, totally focused on that. Andy Coyle says Alonso remains highly competitive And even so, they don't see any reason to talk about retirement, even at an advanced stage. Alonso has already said that if he has a competitive car, he might stay, but if the car isn't good, he'll leave. He's 44 now, so next year he'll be 45 and so on. It's hard for Alonso to want to continue, and also the body starts to feel it. There's no way, right? He can't keep going forever. I hope he gets a good car so Alonso can win races and fight for a title, but I know that's unlikely. And Aston Martin must also be opening doors for the arrival of another driver, possibly reaching out to Verstappen as they've already done, as they've already left that possibility open as well. Verstappen also left 2027 open. Expect chaos in the driver market. We'll discuss it soon. Mercedes officially announced that we'll have the same duo for 2026, which was already expected. I said there was nowhere for the drivers to go except maybe a Sainz and Antonelli swap as rumored. With Antonelli and Russell staying, the question is, how long are their contracts? According to Mercedes themselves, it's only until 2026, so it's a one-year contract, possibly with an extension for 1 or 2 more years, depending on performance. But in order to be able to sign this contract, according to what's been reported, George Russell may have managed to drastically reduce his period of marketing activities, since Nico Rosberg said that Mercedes had up to 80 days a year where the driver had to do marketing activities with the partners. And George Russell said in a recent interview that he only sees his nephews once a year. He wants to have more time with his family, more time to be away from the sport. So the information matches, the information is consistent. Russell has been making his best effort. In Formula One, he's a solid, reliable driver and leads the team. So there's some maturity there, a greater sense of responsibility as well. But he's having a very, very strong season, his best one in Formula One without a doubt. The big question is what happens with Verstappen. Both contracts being set for 2026, possibly with this extension, is no coincidence. Mercedes is interested in Max Verstappen, who has clauses letting him leave after 2026. Everything is coming together and Verstappen might negotiate with Mercedes in 2026. So, who leaves? Antonelli or Russell? That's the question. Can Antonelli? Will Russell still outperform Antonelli next year? How will Mercedes perform? And will it be worth giving up one of them to have Verstappen? Especially if Verstappen wins this year, right? If it happens, it would be really hard for Mercedes not to want Verstappen, so the driver market is going to heat up next year. Get ready. Next year at Silesica will be wild. Verstappen goes here, goes there, goes to Haas, goes to Sauber, goes to Aston Martin, goes to Mercedes. Verstappen goes everywhere. Ferrari is changing team principle, so we should make a Horner with Ferrari video. There's a lot happening. Share your thoughts in the comments.